something to think about, okay? Now, there's a book out there called Pigs in the Parlor by Frank and Ida Mae Hammond, okay? Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know about this book until I had heard of the name, the Children's Bread Ministry, like growing up, like in 20 years ago maybe. But I didn't know anything about this. I didn't understand that, I didn't understand about the idea of schizophrenia. I didn't understand mental illness because in my mind, I was a clean kid, you know. Grew up in a clean home. You know, Sunday nights, I was at a youth revival, worship, music, every Sunday night. So I didn't have any satanic background, nothing. I didn't know that a group of people in a church, I always thought that the people that were cursing you were the ones outside the church. But I didn't understand that you could be a group of people in a church cursing one person. And their life could be completely messed up. I didn't know that. So after I read this book, and I found this book out from Pastor Joe, I learned, okay, wait a minute. You can have a group of people in a church, and they can actually curse you, and they'll have schizophrenia, and they can, so there are two different people that have schizophrenia. Number one, there are people that curse you. They're sending evil cursings to you. And then there's the other type of people that actually have dabbled in the spirit realm, and they're in a satanic world, and they develop schizophrenia. Now, the other thing is, my whole life, growing up in the church, I went to Christian school from kindergarten to grade 12, went to Bible college for a couple of years, whatever. I always heard and read the verse, the Apostle Paul said that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I didn't know that he was talking about schizophrenia. I didn't know that. I just thought he was a double-minded man and whatever. And I never really took careful evaluation of that. I understood it, but I didn't look into it a little deeper. So, get this. I'm just a human being. I don't have a heaven or a hell to put anybody in. I've always been that guy. I'm never going to be outside of that. But when I read this book, everything changed. Because now, Frank and Ida Mae Hammond, when they showed, you know, the hands, is that right? When they showed that, that's when all my world changed, and I started to see, and I was starting to connect the dots. Because now that I understand what they were teaching, now I understand better in my life what this represents. And unfortunately, again, I was not naive. I just didn't know. I didn't know that you could get a group of people that believe in Christ as a confederate group of people, like confederate in the sense of organized, that they could curse another man. I didn't know that. So, when I got cursed, I was experiencing the result of the curse that Pigs in the Parlor talks about. Frank and Ida Mae Hammond. You have to get this book, and you have to read it and study it. There's another book, too, called War on the Saints by Jesse Penn Lewis. I had this book 25 years ago in my library of books. And I read it, but I didn't, again, guys, you have to understand, I'm not reading these books thinking that I am the recipient of all this evil. I'm just a normal guy, lives a normal life, and all the rest. But I didn't know that a group of people could become confederate, spiritually confederate, and ruin a person's life, like my life. I didn't know that. Pastor Dal is the first person that I had met who knew all this before me. And he figured out that before me, he didn't have a person who he could use but not in a bad way. The end game, he wants people to understand this is dangerous. I don't care who you are. When you curse somebody, that curse goes out like that, and you can't pull that curse back. And in any capacity, okay? I didn't understand all this. I'm just finding this out in my late 30s, not mid-30s. I didn't know that Pastor Dal had figured this out, and I didn't know that he had figured out, well, me, are the guy that Pastor Dal is going to use to show these two books as being true. Right? A lot of people think, they hear about me, but they don't know me. The only person that actually knows me is Pastor Dal. That's it. Now, if you're not careful about how you hear and what you see, because remember, it was my grandfather, I don't have my Bible with me, but he said, be careful what you see and what you hear and what you take in. All of that is going to influence you. That's what my grandfather taught me. So anyway, I read these two books, and I start connecting all the dots, and I go, okay, so Pastor Dal is using these two books. Remember, he's using the Bible, obviously, because when you read these two books and you read the Bible, it all kind of connects together. But what Pastor Dal has been able to do is he's been able to do something that has never been done before. It's never been done before, folks. Like, he is literally, Pastor Dal is the best pastor in the world. And he has never been able, there is no other deliverance or healing ministry that has been able to prove and show this in real live time. No one. There's no one. This is the most cutting edge. My story is the most cutting edge of Pigs in the Parlor and War on the Saints that you're ever going to see ever in history. And Pastor Dal figured all this out with these two books. Figured out, well, I'm going to use these two books and I'm going to show the world the truth behind these two books. And I'm going to prove to them, being on the cutting edge, how these two books relate in real life time. At the same time, he is going to be the guy who, when you look at him and you look at his ministry, because remember, there's a guy by the name of KGB, played for the Green Bay Packers. This guy was going to commit suicide because his wife left him. Pastor Dal had to intervene in that situation and say, no, you don't need to commit suicide. He saved his life. Right? KGB, Green Bay Packer, Hall of Famer, football player, worth $10, $20 million, lived in a 30,000 square foot home, and this man was going to commit suicide. What would possess a man? Now, if you don't know anything about spiritual warfare, and you don't know anything about what goes on in this other realm, you're not going to know that this here, right here, look. The problem of schizophrenia. Right here, I'm going to show you guys. KGB of the Green Bay Packers, Hall of Famer. If he can get schizophrenia, it can happen to anybody. And this is a very intelligent man. He's been to San Diego State University. He's a certified financial planner. He's an intelligent man. He made a lot of money. And with the money he made an NFL football player, as a football player, he was able to take that money and invest it and make money off of it. Not stupid. But when you say in your mind, I'm going to commit suicide, that's schizophrenia, folks. Look. KGB, football player, has schizophrenia. He's not the only person. We all suffer from this. Every human being has it. That's why the Apostle Paul put it in the Bible, that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And even he had it. In fact, Pastor Dow had gone on record and said that one of his elders heard a woman and a man voice. It's called schizophrenia. Now, there are people who submit to the devil and they get schizophrenia, and then there's other people who get attacked. That means there are people that are actually sending spirits in their direction. And when those spirits go there, see, and that's the other thing. Let me show you something. We disregard the power of the mind. I'm going to write something. This is a blank piece of paper. I don't have to say this word, but just think about this. When you read this word, if you really are careful and you are intelligent, you're going to hear that in your mind. The problem is that most people can't differentiate what they hear in their mind and being their thoughts and the thoughts that are submitted to them. But remember, the mind is very tricky. And that's how that's how demonic spirits work. Watch this. When you see that, you mentally, in your mind, get a picture of a gun, or you hear gun. We all, listen, I didn't, see, 20 years ago, if you told me about all this, I would have thought you were crazy, crackpot, kook, whatever. But you have to understand the power of the mind. Remember, I didn't say the word. But immediately, you either saw a mental image of the gun, or you heard a silent, without me saying the word, you heard something inside of your mind. That's why when you hear people like KGB say, I'm going to commit suicide, he's got voices in his mind talking to him. Those are demonic spirits. Thank God that Pastor Dow came out and helped him prior to him actually committing suicide or wanting to commit suicide. But if it can happen to an NFL football player who's a certified financial planner and a graduate of San Diego State University and $10-20 million athlete who lives in a 30,000 square foot home, if he can have schizophrenia, I'm sure everybody else can have it. But the problem is we don't read the book. We don't read the Bible the way we think. That's why the Apostle Paul said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And when you look up that word, it's schizophrenia. We all suffer from it. The question is, didn't the Bible say that we're supposed to take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ? We all struggle with it. It's not a shameful thing. We all have it. I just proved to you, without one word, that you have schizophrenia. In a good way, in a safe and a good manner. Most people can't handle this because when they hear these words, the term schizophrenia is almost like that's for other people. No. The Bible says it's for all of us. Why would the Apostle Paul single out only 1% of the population? You have to start thinking, folks. And the more you apply this book, the Bible, and the more you apply it and understand it, the more you're going to learn. And more than that, when you understand your thoughts and your condition, maybe then you can help other people. After all, isn't the goal in life to help other people?